Hey everybody, last time I covered the clothing that I recommend on a hike. Now I'm going to cover shoes, and I'm going to cover both your normal shoes and camp shoes and whether or not you should take those. And I'm just going to say at the beginning, I'm not going to recommend a shoe because it really depends on your feet and what's comfortable to you. I can recommend some ideas when you're getting a shoe, but other than that, you're pretty much just going to have to go try some on. Alright, so basically, the first question everyone asks is, should I get a boot or should I get a trail runner? Well, I have both. I definitely recommend trail runners. I'll just say that from the start. Here's a boot. It's a heavy boot, and I just got this from an REI garage sale not too long ago. This is an Oboz, really nice shoe. I use this just to do work in and stuff, and say you're going out in the yard and you're wading through puddles, stuff like that. These are waterproof, they're really durable, and I just use them for work. I don't use them to hike in, which is kind of ironic that I use these shoes to hike in and these shoes to work in. But that's just how it is. A lot of people want to go with boots because they think that they'll support them better. They think with this additional height advantage and the way that it clamps around your leg right there and closes your ankle, they think that really offers a lot more support. And with my experience, I really don't think it does. I've tried it. I've tried multiple types of boots, and really, this is so flexible up here. If you're in a situation where you're gonna roll your ankle like that, this extra material and support up here isn't gonna stop it. It may help a little bit, but ultimately it just gets in your way, it adds weight, and these shoes are just really clunky. Now, with a smaller shoe like this, most people think, oh, well, that offers no support at all. Your ankle's gonna move around in here. You're not gonna be able to withstand any rolling or terrain that's not level. But really, that's not true. The support from this shoe doesn't come from height. It comes from your ankle, really. You can see these little struts here that offer support. They really grip your ankle. They don't allow your ankle to move, and you don't slide around a lot. With that stability, you actually have greater ability to withstand rolling movement and pitching movement. You can really hold up to that a lot better. And another advantage is when your ankle can move more freely, you'll build up more strength in your ankles, especially over a thru hike. If you're doing this every day, your ankles are going to be good to go. With these boots, always relying on this upper part, your ankles are going to not get stronger. In fact, they might even get weaker. I don't know. So I don't even recommend boots for much. For winter hiking, the extra insulation with a thicker boot can be a good thing. I don't do a lot of winter hiking, so I'll just leave that out of this conversation. Now, the next thing people want to know about is Gore-Tex or waterproof boots. Should you get waterproof or should you go with a airy kind of vented shoe like this one is? I definitely recommend not going with a waterproof boot unless you're going in the winter again or in snow. And here's why. Basically, this waterproof material, it gets you hot. It doesn't allow for a lot of vapor or sweat to leave your feet, so you'll have hot feet and you'll have moist feet, and that leads to blisters, of course. And in addition to that, no matter what people tell you, if it rains, if it's a good rain, not a light rain, it's gonna get your shoes wet no matter what. There's no boot that's gonna keep water out 100% because water's gonna get in from the top, and there's always some spot where water seems to soak through. Now, if you're going through, say it's done raining and you splash through a puddle, this isn't going to get wet. Or if you step through a stream, and as long as the water doesn't come above this line, you're not going to get wet. But when you're through hiking or when you're extended backpacking, any rain is pretty much going to get your shoe and your socks wet, so it's just something you have to deal with. The best way to combat that is to have shoes that are really well drained. These shoes, can't really see inside here, but there's not much to them. There's pretty much this outer netting and an inner layer of little tighter netting. So as soon as water gets in these shoes, it goes right back out. Now, if you were wearing both of these shoes for some reason in hiking, yes, this one would get wet first, but then this one would soon follow, so there's no difference there. Your feet are gonna be wet. With this, the next day, when I wore these, say it had rained one day and I got completely soaked, by the next day these would dry out, at least by the middle of the day, which is the best thing. Having wet feet is terrible, and it can lead to problems like blisters or bigger foot problems if your feet remain consistently wet for a while. So these shoes allow for better drainage. That's why you don't really want a Gore-Tex shoe when you're hiking big distances. Okay, let's see what else is there to address. So that's basically rules out the boots. There's really no reason to wear them unless you have serious ankle problems for some reason. With that said, some people completed the trail with boots, but most people switched to a trail runner if they started with boots, and a lot of people just started with trail runners. It's pretty popular these days. Okay, now to the trail runners. We've eliminated boots. What do you want to look for in a good trail runner? First off, you want it to be breathable. I really like these because it drains really well. The fabric, you can see here with my older, this is the pair. I actually wore this pair from I wore it from Harpers Ferry, West Virginia, all the way to Maine. This lasted over 1,000 miles, which is incredible. You can see this netting starts to shred. The inner netting starts to shred. So these aren't the most durable shoes, but if they lasted that long, there's really no question about if they're durable enough. If they last 1,000 miles, that's more than enough. Most shoes don't even last 500. So durability is really not a huge issue, although there are cheap shoes that seem to fall apart instantly. One brand I would never recommend, and I'm not even sure if they make trail runners, but High Tech, those shoes are terrible. One of my friends had some first-hand experience with them, and they just fell apart within a couple days. Okay, so you want them breathable. The other thing is traction. I really like these shoes. Oh, I'll go ahead and tell you the name. These are La Sportiva Wildcat shoes. And these shoes are great for traction. They have all these little nubs facing different directions, and they have a softer rubber on the edge of these nubs here, which wears off quick. You can see there's quite a difference in traction or in grip and nubs after 1,000 miles. And really, I probably should have replaced these shoes sooner, but I was so close that there's no point. So, but yeah, these had a great grip. I never slipped with these. And so traction, another thing about traction, in this center arch, you can see kind of the arch right there. This rubber down here is something most people don't think about. I find it to be essential because some shoes have a hard plastic kind of covering that goes in the arch area for more support. But whenever you step on a wet root or even a dry root, that hard plastic tends to make your shoe slide sideways, and that's a really good way to roll your ankle. And with this rubber on this shoe, it grips. You're not going to slide if you step on a root in the middle like that. So that's another thing to look for. I saw a lot of people on the trail complaining about shoes that had hard plastic right there. So there's your traction. Something else is support. You want to look for support. This is a hard plastic piece, if you can tell, and that really, it grips your heel, doesn't allow your heel to slide around, and it gives you some back support on the heel, kind of holding your heel into the shoe so you're not popping out when you're walking like that. You want the support. Something else to look for, toe caps. You can see how the rubber on this shoe wraps around and then forms a cap over the toe. It makes a hard surface to impact. If you stub your toe, say you're walking and you hit a root like that, in most shoes you'll just have a small little wimpy piece of rubber right here, and if you do like that, you'll get some pain on your toe, and it can actually break your toe. It's happened to people before. It's not uncommon. With this toe cap, I found that even at a full clip, if I run into something, it really doesn't affect me that much. This is really handy, and not a lot of shoes have this for some reason, but it helps a lot. So that's another thing to look for. Obviously with a trail runner, you're going to get a lower weight shoe. This weighs a lot less than this boot does. It's got a thicker sole here, less rubber to weigh you down, and it doesn't have this huge back, and obviously it doesn't have this extra material. With that light weight, every step you take, you're lifting less weight, so you're using less energy, and it really does add up. Look at my notes here. Rubber arch. I guess I'll go into this now. I recommend getting a pair of Superfeet. You can see here, this is my new pair of shoes. I got the exact same ones because I liked them so much. But Superfeet, these really help support your feet as well. It's hard to explain exactly what they do, but they help to hold your heel in position. It's got a harder plastic bottom with a foam top, high density foam, and they support you from the bottom up. They really grip your heel, you don't slide around, and they provide consistent arch support. Because there's a hard plastic there, you're not losing arch support as you bend. And they obviously provide a little more padding, as you can see. These are two different types. I can't really recommend a type because I only had the orange. They worked great. They're a little bit softer foam than these green ones are, which will last. They'll have a little bit shorter lifespan, but they'll be a little more comfortable. But in the truth be told, I don't know if you could really tell a difference between them. You can see here, after some time, these lasted for 1,000 miles with the shoes. I had them with the shoes, actually a little bit before those shoes, and you can see the foam here is compressed, so it's not going to offer as much padding. And after that, you'll want to replace them after you've seen the foam compress here. And the plastic on the bottom is all chipped up and it's cracked. Probably can't see it, but it's cracked along this heel cup here. So these will last probably a good 1,000 miles for you, and then you have to replace them as well. And they're not cheap, but after hiking without them and then hiking with them, you'll know why they're so good. So I recommend Superfeet, and you just find the size that fits your shoe and slide it in like that. Oh. Okay, as far as shoe fitting goes, you want to go to the store, you want to find a shoe that fits you right. You don't want your foot to be moving around a lot in the shoe. You want the arch to be comfortable, and one thing a lot of people don't think about, you want enough toe room. I like to be able to kind of spread my toes and wiggle them in the toe box. If you don't have that much room and your toes are squished together, it's going to be really uncomfortable for you. So look for toe room, and after you find a comfortable size, and this really applies only to through hiking, because after you've through hiked, or after you've hiked for a long time, your feet start to expand, your joints expand, and your feet actually grow a little bit. And when I first started off, I had to get a new pair of shoes because my current shoes were too small for me. So after you're in the store and you find the shoe size that fits you good, go one size up from that if you're through hiking, to allow for some growth of your foot, and that'll help prevent your toes from getting crammed into the top of the shoe here, and that'll save you a lot of pain later in the trail. And you can tie it tighter so you're not slipping around in that shoe. So go a size bigger if you're through hiking. If you're normal weekend backpacking, don't do it too often. I would just stick with what's comfortable. I wouldn't go up a size because you're not doing it enough to stretch your feet out. What else is there to cover? With these shoes, obviously you can wear a low-rise sock, a lighter sock, and it's more comfortable. I never had a blister throughout the entire trail because I wore shoes like this. I saw lots of people wearing boots that got tons of blisters and had all sorts of problems. And some people just get blisters no matter what, but I think by wearing Trail Runners, I didn't get any blisters. So I think that's about all there is to cover about shoes. Let me just check here. Some people want to get gaiters. I never had gaiters. I never had a problem without gaiters. Gaiters aren't going to keep your feet dry. There are some that do, but really they don't work that great. The main thing they're going to do is keep dirt from getting in, which can be a little bit more of a problem with these lower shoes. Dirt tends to get in more. That was never a problem for me. It didn't even really bother me. Every now and then I would empty my shoe out, and it gave me a nice break from having my feet encased in shoes, so it really was a benefit. But yeah, so gaiters, I don't recommend them unless you're walking through maybe gravel fields or something like that where gravel is going to get up into your shoes, which doesn't happen on the ATs, so unless you're going somewhere else, there's really no reason for gaiters. So that's about all there is to say about Trail Runners. These are my old shoes. They lasted the entire length from West Virginia to Maine, and they were great. I mean, if you want to start somewhere, I would recommend trying these shoes on. They have them at REI. And with that, I'll move on to camp shoes. Actually, I think I'll make a